sleep is incredibly important, especially as a student. You may be chasing a deadline or have a big project to hand in, but even though you will need to sacrifice some sleep to get that work done, you do need to catch it up, and you do need to try and build in good sleeping habits as part of your weekly routine at least. So a couple of thoughts on sleep patterns, and especially for students, and some of my own experience as well. The first thing is, what I've realized and what I've read is that the body works on a 48-hour cycle. So you can pull an all-nighter and probably be okay the next day, but it's actually almost the following day that you're going to feel it. So your body tends to remember the quality of the sleep that you had 2 nights before, especially if it's bad, because you can run on a bit of adrenaline the following day. So if you pull 2 very late nights in a row, that's going to be extremely dangerous for you. So it might be different for you, but in my experience, I tend to feel it if I've had a very late night the day before. Second of all, sleep is obviously important for health reasons. It is going to prevent diseases, heart disease. All of these things have been proven and linked to lack of sleep. And in fact, people whose jobs require them to work through the night, that is ranked as a health risk that has implications for their insurance, etc. So just be aware of that. You do need quality sleep to stay healthy. And then from a studying perspective, whether you're writing or needing to get ready for exams, etc., just a couple of thoughts would be, obviously, I think try and set a time limit and get into a regular routine of getting into bed at a certain time, even if it's a bit later than normal, because you've got to get through the workload for your exams. But if you vary it too much, then I think your body is not going to have a rhythm. It might be that you need to have on average less sleep, but try and stick to that average, throughout the period of your exams or the period of increased stress or workload or whatever it is you need to get through. And then an additional thought with regards to studying and getting large-scale writing projects done is to think about the last thing you do before you actually go to sleep, because that's often what will be retained in your brain and your subconscious activity while you're sleeping. So what I found good sometimes, if I've been trying to grapple with a complex topic in whatever I'm reading or whatever I'm trying to resolve in my analysis, etc., I'll try and frame that in a way that almost delegates it to my subconscious memory. So I'll be very, very aware of the fact that my brain is going to continue being active while I'm sleeping, and it can continue doing some of that work. It has to restore itself, and it actually goes through a whole cleansing process. If I remember, I'll put the link to a great TED talk in the description about what actually happens in the brain. But for the subconscious activity that's happening in your brain while you're sleeping, you can delegate it to try and solve some issues or think about some complex problems. So just before you go to sleep, maybe read through those. Certainly don't end on something that you find very stressful or you've been struggling with for a long time. End your studying in the evening before you go to bed on something that your brain can continue to work on, and it should be sort of maybe a little bit more abstract, a little bit more conceptual, maybe a little bit more philosophical. And then what you'll find is you're not going to wake up in the morning and think, aha, that's the answer, boom, and your brain has solved it overnight. But throughout the day, you'll find that you'll probably have an increased level of awareness about that problem. And the next time that you then consciously work on that problem, you'll find you have a slightly different perspective. And you know how it is. If you agitate about a certain problem and you don't let it go, it actually gets harder and harder to resolve. So think about delegating problems to your subconscious mind while you're sleeping. Of course, don't make it too difficult. Your brain also has to take a break at some point. But just remember the importance of sleep for health reasons, the 48-hour cycle, and then of course just recognizing that your subconscious mind can still do some work while you're sleeping, and you will help that process if you end your studying in the evening on something that works well for your brain to try and solve while you're sleeping. So go and get some sleep.